Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are undertaking a pretty crucial exploration looking at the work of Ray Kurzweil. Specifically, we're analyzing the core message and, well, some specific and sometimes alarming predictions in his book, Future Warning.
Yeah, and this isn't just about, forecasting the next shiny gadget. Kurzweil's work is fundamentally about these scientific and technical trends moving so fast. I mean, moving at a speed that our social, economic, political structures, they just weren't built for it. He's basically warning us we're hitting a phase of really radical societal change.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The central issue Kurzweil flags isn't just that technology is advancing, it's that it's advancing, like exponentially.
Yeah.
For listeners maybe not familiar with Kurzweil's main idea, he really operates on this law of accelerating returns. What does that really mean for us here?
It means we have to completely ditch the idea of, steady linear progress. Kurzweil argues that because technology builds on itself, better tools let us innovate. Faster progress isn't step by step. It doubles. And then it redoubles at this astonishing pace. That's the real warning buried in the title, I think. The future is going to hit us way faster than we think. And it's creating challenges that today might seem impossibly far off.
Right. So the mission for this deep dive is really about preparation. We need to assess the challenges, sure, but also the opportunities embedded in this exponential curve. We want to answer three key questions for you, the listener. Are these huge technological shifts mainly threats, or are they massive opportunities? Are we realistically prepared for the kind of revolution that implies? And maybe most importantly, what action should we be taking now to make sure the outcome actually benefits humanity?
Exactly. We need to look at the future not as some abstract thing, but as an immediate responsibility.
Okay, let's jump into the actual technologies then, the stack driving this acceleration. Kurzweil really points to four core pillars moving faster than everything else. Artificial intelligence AI, robotics, nanotechnology, and biotechnology. And these four, they aren't just changing industries, they're potentially changing what it means to be human.
And AI and robotics are definitely causing the most immediate economic disruption. Kurzweil argues that as computing power keeps growing exponentially, AI is rapidly accelerating the replacement of human jobs. We're moving past simple automation now. We're talking sophisticated algorithms that can do tasks with far greater speed and, frankly, accuracy than a person.
We see that really tangibly right now with autonomous vehicles, don't we? They promise huge upsides, like much better efficiency of logistics, significantly fewer traffic accidents, because you remove the human error element.
But just look at the sheer scale of the disruption. The driving industry is enormous. Millions and millions of livelihoods depend on commercial driving. Kurzweil really focuses on the fact that when driverless tech hits that critical mass, that entire sector faces immediate, potentially devastating, widespread job loss.
And it's not just driving, is it? The source material points straight at manufacturing, too. Robots have been there for decades, sure, but the level of sophistication now, it's completely different.
Correct. Modern robotics in manufacturing keeps lowering production costs, keeps increasing production speed dramatically. Now, that's great for a corporation's bottom line, obviously, but it directly eliminates the need for huge numbers of human factory workers, production staff.
Okay, that sounds impressive, but historically, hasn't every wave of automation also created new jobs, maybe safer ones or more thinking-based jobs? Does Kurzweil actually give concrete data showing this time is fundamentally different? Or is this more speculation about, a jobless future?
Well, Kurzweil argues the mechanism is different this time, and it's because the intelligence is becoming generalizable. See, previous automation needed humans to operate the specialized machines, maintain them. Future AI, or what people call artificial general intelligence, AGI, the kind that could potentially learn any task a human can do, that's the real perceived threat here. He argues that when AI moves from just specialized machine learning, like we mostly have now, to true AGI, the rate of new job creation just won't keep pace with the rate of intellectual replacement.
Okay, so we've covered the immediate economic threat. Let's pivot a bit to what Kurzweil sees as maybe the ultimate societal consequence, this idea of a widening social divide. How does this tech, which you'd think might be democratizing, actually risk increasing inequality?
It really comes down to initial access and, cost. Kurzweil warns that the really advanced stuff, the technologies that genuinely boost human capability, like, say, personalized preventative biotech treatments or maybe specialized AI tutors for education, they'll initially only be accessible to the more privileged social groups, the ones who can afford them first.
Creating not just an economic gap, but potentially a biological one. or an intellectual one.
Exactly. And that dynamic creates this really severe feedback loop where those with access pull further and further ahead of the rest of the community left behind. It just deepens the societal fissures we already have. The promise of the future might not land equally for everyone, at least not at first.
That's a challenging thought. But here's where the narrative seems to shift quite significantly in his work. Biotechnology. Kurzweil sees a absolutely monumental opportunity here, a revolution that could fundamentally change our physical limitations as humans.
Absolutely. Kurzweil predicts that biotech won't just, fully cure most diseases, but could also significantly extend human lifespan and vitality. We're talking about fundamentally changing our relationship with mortality itself.
What specific advances does the source material highlight to illustrate this potential?
The focus is really heavily on things like gene editing, CRISPR is the one most people have heard of, and gene therapy. Gene editing, for anyone needing a quick refresher, is essentially like a high-precision molecular cut-and-paste tool for our DNA. It lets scientists correct the genetic errors that lead to diseases.
So instead of just treating symptoms, you're actually fixing the underlying biological code.
Precisely. These kinds of technologies could help treat chronic genetic diseases. They could target cancer cells with incredible accuracy, address major lifestyle diseases like heart disease. The potential to improve public health for millions globally is just immense.
And we shouldn't forget the fourth pillar he talks about, nanotechnology. It often gets less airtime, maybe because it feels further out, but the implications are massive.
Oh, nanotech is perhaps the most radical of his predictions, yeah. We are talking about building things at the molecular scale, machines capable of constructing materials, assembling them atom by atom. Kurzweil sees applications everywhere, from incredibly efficient self-assembling manufacturing processes to advanced medical devices, tiny robots, essentially, that could repair tissues from inside our bodies.
But with that kind of power comes a pretty unique set of security concerns, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The main security worry Kurzweil highlights is this concept of self-replicating nanobots. The ability for these molecular machines to just copy themselves without any human intervention. This raises some fundamental, possibly catastrophic security issues if the programming goes wrong. It's often called the gray goo scenario in futurist circles. The potential for technology to just autonomously consume resources to replicate itself uncontrollably.
It really is the ultimate double-edged sword, isn't it? Existential threat on the jobs front, potentially world-altering opportunity on the health and construction fronts.
Which brings us right back to that exponential curve again. So far, we've mostly talked about tech replacing manual labor or maybe repetitive cognitive tasks. But Kurzweil believes the future of AI moves way beyond just machine learning and natural language processing as we know them today. The real power shift is when AI starts replacing the strategic brain.
That's the big leap, right? From the current specialized AI we have to that future AGI, artificial general intelligence that can make complex strategic decisions in economics, social policy, even politics.
Yeah, think about current high-frequency trading algorithms. They make split-second stock market decisions based on analyzing huge amounts of data. That's already pretty sophisticated business intelligence, but Kurzweil envisions something far, far grander than that.
Something that manages the entire economy, maybe, not just one investment portfolio.
Exactly. Kurzweil suggests that future AI systems might reach a level where they could manage macroeconomic decisions for whole countries, maybe even societies, optimizing resource distribution, managing national debt, predicting social trends based on incredibly complex data analysis and predictive modeling.
Which means the threat of job loss then expands well beyond the factory floor or the driver's seat. If AI can manage the macroeconomy, what happens to the human manager, the strategist?
Cognitive jobs are definitely seen as being at risk. Future AI systems could potentially manage most business administration, complex project management, detailed legal discovery work, and yes, even that high-level strategic decision-making within major organizations. I mean, if an algorithm can identify the optimal strategic path faster and more reliably than a human committee, why would you keep the committee?
Okay, if machines are making strategic decisions, we immediately land squarely in the ethical and moral arena. If you put fairness, security, privacy on that kind of risk-reward matrix, what are the biggest challenges we face navigating this new landscape?
Well, the major challenges really center around things like algorithmic bias and control. As AI systems get woven into resource allocation, into strategic decisions, we have to tackle the huge concern that their decisions might be inherently unfair or biased or just unethical towards certain groups of people. And the source material really highlights the frankly, terrifying lack of transparency often involved. How do these black box algorithms actually reach their conclusions?
Give us that provocative ethical example again, the one you mentioned, that really drives home the consequence of this lack of transparency.
Right. Imagine an AI system automatically deciding who gets access to critical healthcare services, or maybe who qualifies for a loan. And it bases this decision on predicting their future economic problems, or maybe their social risk profile, whatever that means. Now, this decision is made by an opaque algorithm, one that's optimizing for, say, efficiency or cost saving, not necessarily human value or fairness. It just raises these profound moral and social issues about fairness, about the value of a human life or a community when that's determined by unseen data points and algorithms.
It's a huge challenge, no doubt, but we also have to acknowledge the massive potential upside. Kurzweil is careful to balance his warnings, noting that AI also offers these vast opportunities to solve global crises, problems humans have struggled with for centuries.
Look at health again. Predictive algorithms could potentially forecast and help manage disease outbreaks before they spread widely. Think about pandemics. That capability could far surpass the speed of human-only systems. That kind of preventative power could save millions of lives.
And sustainability is another area where managing huge amounts of data is absolutely key.
Absolutely. AI could be incredibly effective in optimizing massive power grids, managing energy consumption in cities much more efficiently, predicting the effects of climate change with greater accuracy, and analyzing vast data sets to find the best ways to reduce carbon emissions or better utilize natural energy resources like solar and wind. It offers real, scalable hope for environmental stability.
So, faced with all this, the risks, the rewards, what does Kurzweil advise you, the listener, the learner, to do right now? And what should governments be doing to try and manage this exponential change?
Kurzweil's core advice for individuals is pretty straightforward. Preparation through acquiring relevant skills. We need people who can actually interact with these complex systems. Skills like data mining, basically teaching machines to find patterns in enormous data sets, and advanced machine learning. If we want to have a seat at the table in this future, we need to understand the language of the machine, essentially.
And for governments, what's their role?
Governments, he argues, must urgently establish rigorous laws and strong regulatory frameworks for the ethical use of these technologies. If we just let technology accelerate without clear legal and ethical guardrails in place, we really risk losing control of its trajectory. We have to consciously, actively direct these changes.
Which brings us nicely to the synthesis, the main takeaway from this deep dive.
Yeah, Kurzweil's future warning, it really emphasizes that these technologies, AI, robotics, biotech, nanotech, they bring both these monumental opportunities like curing diseases and solving climate change, but also these incredibly serious ethical and social challenges like extreme inequality or the replacement of high-level thinking jobs. I think the most crucial point, the one takeaway, is that the pace of change is not linear, it's accelerating. And awareness, preparation, there really are only defenses.
So Kurzweil demands that preparation through both personal learning, skilling up, and proactive lawmaking from our institutions. We've discussed some specific threats, right, from the manufacturing floor all the way up to strategic business planning, and also the specific opportunities from molecular construction with nanotech to global energy optimization with AI.
So the question back to you is, what stands out? Are you taking steps to acquire the skills needed to navigate the kind of technological revolution Kurzweil describes? Because the time to prepare isn't tomorrow or next year, it's really right now.
And let's leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on, building on that idea of strategic AI. If AI can truly reach a level where it manages complex global macroeconomic strategy for entire nations, optimizing efficiency, resource use, maybe perfectly, what does that fundamentally mean for the very concept of human governance, for elected leadership? You know, when the machine is demonstrably better at running the economy, who is truly in charge of society's direction then?
Something definitely for you to mull over as you digest the gravity of these predictions.
We really encourage you to share your thoughts on Kurzweil's work. Let us know what you're exploring in your own deep dives. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll catch you next time.